Well, in what will be the case with most movie studios going forward, which is kind of ironic after the recent writer's strike, as AI was a very cornerstone part of the reason they were holding out for more money to try and limit the amount of AI that studios can use. We have a story here from Variety that says Disney is establishing a group to oversee AI mixed reality adoption in responsible way across the company. So I find this very fascinating and interesting. So figured let's read through this story and give some thoughts on it. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic. And again, this is from Variety. And this is it says here that a newly created Office of Technology Enablement is being led by Jamie Voris, previously CTO of Walt Disney Studios. It says Disney has created a new strategic group to manage and coordinate how the company develops and deploys next generation tech like artificial intelligence and mixed reality, and to do it in a, quote, responsible manner. The company tapped Jamie Voris, who has served as Chief Technology Officer of Walt Disney Studios for 14 years, to head up the newly formed Disney Office of Technology Enablement. Voris, in the new role, will report to Disney Entertainment co-chairman Alan Bergman, who announced the creation of the group in an internal email or memo on Friday. Our ability to remain at the forefront of technological advances will only be more critical as we move forward, making it all more important to understand and embrace the new technological shifts in ways that enable our people, creativity, and business, Bergman said in the memo. The Office of Technology Enablement is intended to ensure Disney is a progressive, innovative, and responsible leader in AI and mixed reality. Bergman said in his memo, the group is aimed at positioning Disney as a leader in formulating industry best practices. Voris and his team will work with other technology teams spanning the company, including Disney Entertainment, ESPN, and the Disney Experiences theme park division. The pace and scope and advances in AI and XR, extended reality, are profound and will continue to impact customer experiences, creative endeavors, and our business for years to come, making it critical that Disney explore the exciting opportunities and navigate the potential risks, he also wrote. Says we will have accountability to all business segments and partner closely with leaders across the company. Bergman also wrote, the new group is not intended to take over or centralize AI or mixed reality projects that individual business units are working, he added. Rather, the goal is to make sure next gen tech initiatives are in line with goals and values and drive outcomes with greater agility, velocity, and consistency. That's an interesting way to put that. So in terms of what does this mean in terms of, Disney using AI, who really knows? So I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on AI, but I've been using AI for a bit on various aspects of even making videos on here and other things that, on the business side of things that I do use them for. And it can be used to, especially processing data. There's a lot of stuff, making content. It can kind of utilize and make it much quicker than it could be just doing it by hand. But obviously AI is one of those terms where people either are okay with it or a lot of people are against it, especially when you talk about AI art and things like that. But I think AI is one of those things that is just, it's happening. It's going to happen. There's nothing you can really do to stop it. So I suppose on that end of things, this is actually a little proactive on Disney's end to, instead of, necessarily fight against it, to somehow try and, at least with this group, I suppose, look at areas they could use it in, as they say, responsible ways to, make things more efficient. I think inevitably, though, when you're looking at this, AI is going to cost some people their jobs. There's just no way around that, because AI can replace a lot of different things, especially when you're talking about like data collection, menial tasks, things like that. So on some level, it probably is going to mean that, even though they're not going to come out and say that. But undoubtedly, that is something that will happen because it can save the company a lot of money. When you look at Disney, one of their biggest costs that they have is labor, whether that's on the movie side or the park side, whatever it is. It's definitely a major cost. So a lot of these companies are going to utilize AI to try and mitigate, labor costs. It is kind of funny though, and especially I would say tricky ground here, because again, like I said earlier, the writer's strike, one of the major points they had was the fact of using AI to help write scripts and things. And while they didn't say that in here, but the fact that obviously Jamie Voris here is from Walt Disney Studios, you can kind of put two and two together there, where it may not be too far-fetched to think of ways in which they could potentially use AI to help aid in certain things. Now, I don't think you're going to see AI be able to write a great movie. There's certain things that AI is just not going to be able to replicate. I just, AI can't really think of new ideas. They can, take a whole bunch of things together and give it out in a different way. But I think that you're not going to see AI make a Christopher Nolan masterpiece movie or whatever, a movie you love. I don't think it's going to be able to do that. But somebody who does make content, whether that's written or video form like I do, you can use AI as a base level things for ideas. You can use it to proofread. You can use it to, again, it needs people to go in there and refine it, add things to it, and that level. So I think there will always be a place for people and humans, even if AI is being used on that end of things. But again, this is something that the writers union and one of the reasons they went on strike was because they saw this as a threat to writers in terms of their jobs and future and things like that. So in terms of Disney and the AI side with movies, I think that's a trickier landscape because you're going to have a lot of writers and a lot of people looking at this and not liking that. Now, when it comes to, say, using AI when it comes to the visual effects of movies, this is something where I could definitely see this coming into place because Disney has had their issues with workers on this front. I mean, there was a story that Victoria Alonso, who was let go by Marvel side of things, but she was notoriously very hard and harsh. And I guess some of the reports say she was just abusive to the graphic artists that were, working on movies with tight timelines and the budgets were cut and all these things like that. So you could use AI on this front, which I think that is inevitable that could happen. But, in terms of like the theme park side, we've already seen Universal file for a patent when it comes to, detecting, bad guest behavior and things like that. So that's something that you could definitely see on Disney's end in the theme parks come into play, as again, they would want to save money on labor. And this is probably one thing where they could definitely do that. When you're talking about Disney and a lot of these companies, I don't think they really understand AI. I mean, it's hard to know exactly, like they can have consulting firms, but do I think Bob Iger has a strong grasp on AI? No, I don't. I think that he may have people around him that have an idea of it. But I really think what this may be is them just almost using it as a discovery program and saying like, hey, let's figure out what AI could do. What are the potential possibilities out there? And then you could look at saying how you could implement into the company. So I don't think this necessarily means they're using AI tomorrow. This is probably more likely a way for them to just start feeling out different areas where the technology is at. And who knows, they could probably get into, some of this and making some of their own in terms of like, AI programs to do very specific things. But don't be surprised if you start, especially on the theme park side, start hearing more talk about using AI for certain guest activities, because again, there have been issues with Disney with fights and things like that. And, this is always something that not all the time, but popped up every once in a while, especially when you talk about like people being abusive to cast members or starting fights with their guests and lots of drinking going on at, say, Epcot and places like that. AI and using that as a way to potentially curb bad guest behavior, I'm sure Disney is very interested in looking at. So, where this goes, who knows? I don't know if Disney's going to make a big announcement about much of the things that they use in terms of whenever they want to use AI. They may kind of keep it on the hush here, but I do think this is probably more of them just sort of getting into, admitting, okay, we're going to start looking at this AI realm, what it can do for us, as a lot of companies are. And I think, Disney probably has already used. I mean, we do know actually Disney has used AI. I think on the opening credits or the closing credits for the Secret Invasion show, I'm pretty sure that was AI created. So you're already seeing it being utilized, but it seems like now they're definitely applying more resources to that. So it's definitely something you could see in the future going forward. But that's going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of theme parks and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about this new Disney established group that is going to oversee AI for the company? And until next time, we will see you later.